Afternoon, it's once again 6:30 in the p.m. on a Friday, and of course I am United States Representative Danny K Davis, and we are delighted to be with you. I am here with my friend Christian Strydom, and we're going to be talking about what went on in Washington, District of Columbia, but also what's going on in many places throughout the most fascinating piece of geography in North America called Chicago, my kind of town, the city of the big shoulders, founded by an African American, John Baptiste DuSable. He and his Indian wife, Native American woman, were known as the founders, really, of this great city. And Chicago has been at the center of development of these United States of America. We sometimes call it the crossroads because it is so strategically located. If you're in Chicago, Illinois, you're in the center of the country, and you've got every mode of transportation you could think of, the busiest airport, we say, in the world, the busiest airport you can ever come to. An African-American gentleman happens to be the mayor right now in the city. And of course, I was around when Harold Washington became mayor, and like to say that I was one of the foot soldiers that helped make that happen. But a lot of good things. The home of the Reaper, great manufacturing place. Mm-hmm. Used to be headquarters, the international headquarters for Sears, Roebuck and Company. Right. The people who put mail order purchasing on the map. And there used to be a time when you could order you could order a horse. you could order a house. You could order whatever from the Sears catalog.
Wow.
Well, we had an interesting week in Washington. I got home a little early because the Republicans had some difficulty getting the bills passed out of the House that they wanted to pass. But I also always alert people and let them know that just because you pass something out of one house, that does not necessarily mean it's going to become law. Mm-hmm. But one thing it does mean is that it cannot become law if it does not get passed out of that house. Mm-hmm. In order for something to actually become law, you need to meet 3 sets of agreements, and sometimes 4. All the time, quite honestly, 4. You got to get it passed in the House. You've got to get it passed in the Senate. The president need to agree with you and sign it into law. Although the president has the right and the authority to veto it, and in order to override the president's veto, now you got to get a 2/3 majority, which means that you got to get a supermajority rather than just one vote more. And then, of course, it has to meet constitutional muster, meaning that the Supreme Court has to agree that it is constitutionally allowable or correct, or that it meets the criteria. So a lot of debate, tremendous amounts of debate take place. Far more debate takes place than changes that occur. I'm saying I sometimes, when participating in meetings or talking, will say, after all is said and done, more is often said than done. I'm saying a lot of things get said, and a lot of possibilities of things exist, but all of those things don't necessarily get translated into becoming law. And even after certain things become law, in order to implement them, you have to have the resources. So you have to make the resources available. You have to figure out the money end of it. If you say everybody in America should be able to get a black T-shirt, that sounds interesting, sounds good. But the next thing you got to figure out is, how do you pay for everybody to get a black T-shirt?
Wow. It's a big bill.
And so there's much more to making and implementing law than what it seems. We were just kind of taught the majority rules. Well, the majority does ultimately rule in a sense, or the participating majority rules, because there are some people who do not participate. And so if you sit on the sideline, it's like watching an athletic event. You can sit and hope that the Cubs are going to beat the Los Angeles Dodgers. You can have all the hopes that you can generate, but you're not on the field. You're not throwing a ball. You're not hitting. You're not striking out. You're not striking in. And so there's a big difference between watching things happen and making things happen. So we stay engaged. I was looking at, what do I have scheduled for tomorrow? I have 3 meetings. One meeting scheduled is with the presidential candidate for the Comoros Islands. Well, you know, we're interested in international affairs and all those things, and oftentimes people who come from different countries but are now citizens of the United States have a lot of interest in what goes on in their native land. Just like whatever goes on in the state of Arkansas kind of interests me a little bit more than what may be going on in Louisiana. Although I'm interested, but not quite as much, because Arkansas is my native land or native state of birth.
Arkansas,
And
man.
so whatever goes on there, obviously, just kind of, my sister and I had a conversation earlier today, and she had been visiting and had gone down to Arkansas to a class reunion. Her 60th high school
Wow.
class reunion
Wow.
was taking place. And so they went and had a good time and interacted with each other. And I had visited with people from our hometown last Saturday. So we both had something to share with each other relative to the homeland. We also have tomorrow a Fresh Start Father's event at Columbus Park
Yes.
that I'm going to try to
Come on out.
be
Columbus Park, 3 o'clock.
engaged in. Sunday morning I've got a 9 o'clock church, then I've got a 12:30 church. LaShawn Ford and I talked about attending his church because a high official, he attends a Catholic church, and the bishop is supposed to be at his church, and
Fantastic.
maybe even the cardinal.
Oh,
And so I may get an opportunity. Monday, which is Memorial Day, there's an event going on at the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery,
fantastic.
where my brother is buried,
That's right.
and his wife is also buried there because he was a veteran. And if you are a dishonored or discharged veteran, you can be buried there. And there are also my wife's brother, one of them, also was buried there.
Wow.
And so all of these individuals who served in the military, if they were honorably discharged, then they can be buried there. And of course, that's an honor because you were honorably discharged. Well, a lot of things are going on. Locally, and on the local front, Christian,
Yes.
anything that you can report or talk about that have been going on this week while I was in Washington?
Well, Congressman, again, as always, you're representative for the District 7, our district here in Chicago, the best district in the nation. And we thank you for your service and representing us. I think what's really happened here during the week is we've been watching what's been happening in D.C. As the Supreme Court shows that it has no guardrails on for democracy. And they seem to be as polarized as any political group in the nation, unfortunately. And I think what people are starting to realize is things that happen in D.C. on the Hill are more important to us every single day than we realize or give credence to. So I think we're now just starting to work up, and quite frankly, what's happened again this week is there's some growing fear about what's happening to our democracy, what's happening to our inalienable rights, Congressman. And I think we had a conversation just before we got here that you agreed change is on the horizon, a lot of change that Americans are feeling and a lot of change that we have yet to see. So here in Chicago, I think along with preparing for the summer, a lot of pools opening up, I think a lot of eyes are starting to open up right now about what's going to be coming even before the midterm elections, that we still are not out of the woods yet. President Trump seems to have a lot of power and support still. He is his endorsements in the primaries have been shocking. Kentucky and some other states with Massey. It's a little bit concerning, Congressman, that perhaps the Republican side is not free of Lord Voldemort, or Trump, as we would say in our Harry Potter way. That we still have the bad guy up top, and he's influencing his cohorts, and they're not able to break free and give us some democratic breathing room of sanity in this country. And I think that's scary, the realization this week that perhaps our democracy is in trouble, sir.
Well, politics go on all the time. I often say that when two people interact, generally some politicking take place, and that politics is much more than who gets elected to what. It's a way of trying to have your opinion or your thoughts and ideas become the action. If I wake up in the morning and my wife and I are trying to decide what we're going to have for breakfast, and I may have a taste for bacon and eggs, and I might say, Dr. Davis, could you prepare some bacon and eggs for breakfast? And she might say, no. I was thinking that I wanted sausage and eggs and waffles.
Sounds kind of good.
Now here we are. Bacon and eggs. You don't necessarily want both kinds of meat. So what do?
How hungry are we?
Well, I generally will say happy wife, happy life. So go ahead and do up the sausage. But my taste buds are crying out for this smoked bacon that I've been dreaming about. So what do? Do I compromise or do I delay? I probably, knowing myself, I probably say, well, I'll eat bacon tomorrow. Go ahead and get the sausage and put it on the table. And that avoids conflict. And so sometimes you give a little, you take a little, you let your poor heart break a little. But that's the glory of, that's the story of, that's the story of compromise. And so sometimes in decision making, it becomes necessary to unify in order to do what makes the most sense. Now, if we were wealthy and just had money to throw away and all of that, then we may have both. We say, wow, we'll have both bacon and sausage, and not just
Bacon
one.
and sausage.
But since we don't have anything to waste, and we want the best decision, we can boil it down to one. Oftentimes, groups don't do that. And when groups don't do that, Harold Washington used to emphasize greatly when we would be having discussions that if you want to win in decision making, always try to create a coalition that brings in additional people, more people. If you add, you win. If you multiply, you win. If you subtract and divide, you generally lose. And so you try and add people to the coalition. For example, the coalition has a meeting on Sunday at 4 o'clock at 5730 West Division Street. Mr. Earl Bearden is the president. And it's a community group that comes and discuss issues. So anybody listening who'd like to join us, we are going to be on Sunday at 4 o'clock from 4 to 5:30 at 5730 West Division Street, Chicago, Illinois. And that's on West Division. And anybody is welcome, whether you are a member. I believe we're going to be talking about the school board elections that are coming up. This is going to be the first time that we have a full set of elections for the individuals who are going to serve as members of the Chicago Board of Education.
Wow.
And I hope that people will get involved. I trust that people will be engaged, and I trust that people will participate. If you don't vote, if you don't participate, it often means that you're giving away your right and your responsibility to help make decisions. And so I'm hoping that people will, even if you don't have children in the schools, even I don't have any children who are school age. So, but I'm interested in what the schools are going to look like. I'm interested in what they teach. I'm interested in children having the opportunity to learn. I'm interested in whatever skills they can develop. And quite frankly, wish that I was young enough to be a student. But we're all students of life. And if we're not students of one thing, I believe that when you stop learning, then it means you're getting closer and closer to leaving. And so when a flower stops growing or a plant begins to grow, then it's kind of going in the other direction, and it's going to die. I mean, and so you don't want your mind to stop growing, because when your mind stops growing, you're headed in the other direction. So be involved in education. It is so vital, so necessary, and there's so much to learn and so much to know. Of course, your son is school age.
Yes,
sir. So
8 years old at Old St. Mary's in the 2nd grade, finishing it up. So all these issues, as you said, are pertinent, especially when you saw the First Lady talking over children's issues last week, Congressman, or week before last. And so, you cover a wide breadth and depth of topics that affect all of us, and you're right. We're not in separate siloed worlds. This is a fishbowl. We're all in together.
Well, I was very pleased to have the opportunity to sit next to the First Lady of the United States of America and be engaged in that discussion about child welfare, especially as it relates to foster children
Yes.
and children who may not have parents available to them. I parenting is so interesting, and I see that our time is really running out and it's gone. We have 1 minute left. You want to say bye in your 30 seconds?
Bye, everybody in Chicago. Son, friends, and family, we love you. To all those voters, concerned citizens, constituents, make sure you support your local elections, get involved, and make sure you get involved in some town halls with the Congressman Danny Davis here. We've got over 40 plus years of wisdom here to pull from our representatives.
You said bye, and I'm going to say goodbye. See you next week.
Later.